Right, Spencer, how are you coping working with me?
Honest answer?
Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of weeks have been, they've been
Exciting, a roller
exciting.
coaster.
All those all the feels,
All the
the
feels.
emotional roller coaster. And why?
Harrowing.
Yeah. What's that quote? Like, yeah, I said it to you the other day. It's been like sleeping like a baby, waking up at every hour on the hour in a fit of panic. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? No, it's been amazing. Super exciting. We're building something incredibly. It feels like we're going at a good pace.
Yeah. Relatively rate of knots. I think it's been
Yeah,
a squiggly process, hasn't it? We're kind of, in the famous words of Paula Abdul, one step forward, two steps back at times. But, we're having as much fun as that cat did in the video. It's all good. It's all good.
exactly. It's all good. I love the fact that you never fail to bring, 80s pop trivia reference to bear in even the most meaningful of situations. You still get those
I
in.
try my best. I really do.
So look, we are documenting a process right here. We're giving people a little bit of a glimpse into the back end of how we're building out a business, right?
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be quite good to share some of this. Good for a couple of reasons. A, more eyes on the things that we're doing is always good.
Always handy.
But also, like, we're going through the struggles that a lot of startups go through. And some of those, as you say, this kind of like spaghetti mess, I often think of it as, feels like there's we think of a straightforward linear process quite often, but usually any kind of newness, coming up with new business ideas, startup processes, whatever, it's just really backwards and forwards constantly. And like a never ending, literally feels like never ending at the moment, roller coaster of excitement and jubilation and fear and trepidation and all the other things in between.
Classic startup tale for the
Exactly.
ages.
Exactly.
Do you know what? It's so interesting because I've lost count of the amount of businesses I worked on and in terms of helping startups get off the ground. And I've launched products. I've been a product person and built them from scratch as well. And it's never fucking straightforward, is it? It doesn't matter whether you are building from scratch or whether you're using, solutions that you can hook together. We've had to look at our requirements, look at our budget, look what works in terms of actually the business and, cash flow and margins and overheads, all that kind of stuff. So even when you do this day in, day out, it's still not straightforward. And if anything, I just want to hope that gives people a feeling of relief and sanity. Because it's hard. It is hard. And you've got to keep going. It was interesting. We were reflecting earlier, weren't we? So what's this been? About 4 weeks or so?
I think it has, give or take. Yeah,
Somewhere in the
probably.
region?
I think maybe a little bit less. I think we probably first started talking about it about 4 weeks ago. We probably started kind of working on it, or at least me actively working on it 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not a great amount of time.
Yeah, because it would have been, I think I had the random thought on a Saturday morning at my dining table, which led to me mapping out a load of Post-it notes. Yeah, probably about 5 weeks ago. And it was born out of reflecting from the last 3 years, like what I've seen, what I've heard, etc. And I was like, do you know what? We need to go and test this though. So I had a couple of conversations, thought there might be something in this actually, reached out to you. But we've continually double checked, haven't we? I'm constantly asking people as we go. I'm lucky in the fact that I'm day to day in the startup community. So I've got those people to soundboard ideas off, soundboard platforms, etc. Just get hoping that we're on the right track, and if not, just that incremental change to make sure we're pivoting towards the right approach. But even with that said, we have a list of requirements. We know in terms of best practice, the way that we like to run things and the support that's required in terms of the growth playground. But then trying to find SaaS products that can hang together, will hang together, that facilitate the right things. I mean, yeah, we've had a lot of fun trying to spin up different communities in different ways. Even this morning we had a bit of a battle of like, okay, you pitch me Mighty Networks and I'll pitch you Circle, and we'll see in terms of, ease and all those kind of things and future proofing, etc., what can be done, what can't be done. We had some fun times with ChatGPT, trying to spin up, the cost in terms of transactions with Stripe and all this stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting path. And even just, I've been optimistic due to the feedback I've had to date and the fact that people have said, yeah, I want to come and join the closed cohort, want to be involved in it. And even then I do speak to people and they are rightly not pessimistic, but honest and straightforward in terms of like, okay, well, industry stats would normally mean X, Y, and Z, Beck. You have factored that in, haven't you? And part of me goes, don't want to hear it, not interested. That's fine. Thank you very much. I'm going to take my bat and ball and play over there. But you have to kind of take it on the chin and go, yeah, okay, these people are right. So bearing that in mind, what does my funnel need to look like? What channels do I need to look at in terms of acquisition? We've gone back and forth about what mediums suit us in terms of talking to people, the sequencing of that, all that jazz. But you've still got to go, right, someone's told me X. That could mean this won't work. It'll blow up in my face. But in terms of how I'm feeling about things, do I back myself? Am I happy to put myself out there and be judged? I'm going to work through that. And based on all the evidence I have to date, let's fucking keep trucking,
Yeah, it has been that, we wanted to document this to kind of show that even us as experienced startup people, we've both worked with lots of startups, as you say. I've been through funding rounds for my own startups. I've had abysmal fails as well as some successes along the way, but doing it again and doing it with someone brings back a lot of that optimism for me, but also some of those challenges and some of the things that have kind of hurt us before. And there's almost a thing that I'm a little bit struggling with is that we both have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and it's almost like we're sometimes like so conscious of all the things we need to be doing. We've got an endless backlog. Every morning we kind of get on a call and there's like another 20 things to be doing and thinking about. And, we've got financial models that are pretty ridiculous for this stage of where we're at.
Yeah.
We've got, highly interactive website things happening. We've got flows of interactions and integrations with APIs from different platforms. So we're building out all of this stuff quite quickly, whilst at the same time knowing that it could all fail if we find out evidence that suggests that this isn't something that people want to have. So it's been a real eye-opener in some ways, knowing all of those things that we've advised people on previously, but kind of doing it ourselves now. It's definitely been an interesting challenge. I think one of our challenges is that we could probably talk for 8 hours a day about what it is that we could do. And then we, obviously it's our firm beliefs, I think, as individuals, but I think as an organization, as we move forward, it's the doing that really matters.
Yeah.
So we are constantly checking ourselves to make sure that we're getting to the point that we need to get to in order to make a decision, and then walking away from those meetings, those calls, with a plan of action of what needs to happen before the next time we meet, so that we're constantly making progress on the doing, rather than that it feels good having great conversations like that sometimes, and you kind of feel like you've done a good day's work, but the reality is that you haven't moved forward and progressed the idea and given it a chance to succeed. And with that kind of optimism, you know, I firmly believe that if you believe it enough yourself and you're willing enough to put in the hard yards, that you can do anything that you want to do, right?
Yep.
We can make this a success if we just don't stop, if we keep on pushing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the unit economics are really challenging for us, so we need to change what we're going to do. Maybe some of the ideas that we want to bring aren't quite right, they fail, but we'll do something else and we'll replace it with something else. Maybe our lead acquisition, our kind of channels of reaching people don't work, and we need to switch that. We need to focus in a different way. But ultimately, if we're motivated and we keep on doing, then we can make it work. And I think that's where my optimism really comes from.
Completely agree. I like to call it premature gratification, because people just like the pontification is enough. They get the dopamine hit and then they don't deliver. I think one of the biggest trials that we've had is we know you do things that don't scale. So get it out there, get it tested, keep pivoting, stay alive as long as possible. But on the flip side, we know the opportunities, the marketing hacks and things in terms of that, creating flywheels and all that kind of stuff, and nurturing, and what's the balance at any one time without having to do a load of rework. And it's really hard, but you know, it's that Brené Brown thing. You've got to be in the arena. You've got to keep going. You've got to go. If you don't birth the thing, get it out there into the world so people can really give you not even feedback, it's that utilization. It's the data from utilization, because feedback's one thing and all of that is based on, well, at the moment it feels like X, Y, and Z, or in the past I've done these kind of things. But it's not until it's in the hands of the user and actually doing the bloody thing that you can actually see how it needs to work, how it can work. We've got some very strong assumptions which have been, you know, de-risked and proven out to a certain extent. But like you say, you've just got to get it out there. And the quicker you can get it out there, the more you learn, the longer, you know, the more chance you've got of keeping this thing alive. And not only this, you know, we are both juggling actual companies elsewhere as well, which are our like bread and butter day to day. So yeah, it's a fun old time. But I think that this is, like, I'm really loving the fact that we're documenting this, because all of this stuff is what we're going to be talking about in the Growth Playground. Mapping stuff out, really helping people. I mean, just having to turn up and see you every day at 10 a.m. having done something is huge, because it means I'm actually doing some work rather than faffing around, thinking about it, prioritizing other things. It's like, no, there's got to be some momentum. You know, we kind of went, there's a time horizon here. If we can get it off the ground by this date, then that works in terms of the rest of the rhythm of the year and, you know, commitments that we have. So, like, are we down? Are we going for this? Yeah, fuck it, let's go. And that's sometimes what you've got to do, because there's no perfect time, is there? You've just got to get started. So, really pleased to be sharing the journey, and hopefully people will learn from it.
Absolutely. And hey, shall we talk about some specifics? Because just a couple of the things that might be useful for people, and we might do some specific shows about some of these things, but I'd love to talk just a little bit about the kind of stack, how we're building up these things. And we talked a little bit already about that, but I thought that might be something useful. As I'm literally looking at Framer right now, got it down here, building out this website. It's been something that's been probably taken, I'd say, a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer than that. I'm not quite sure. Everything's blurring a little bit, somewhat. But, you know, we've done a lot of work on this website, video introductions. We've got waitlist links so people can sign up for the waitlist straight away. We've got FAQs. We've got what it's all about. We've got loads of stuff going on. We're building out loads of content. So there's loads of blogs that are going live straight away as well. We're doing videos like this. So we're doing all these things. But the Framer is kind of the central piece for the marketing website. We've, I think, decided today we're going to be using Circle for the community. So circle.so. We're not affiliated with any of these, by the way. This is just, but it'd be nice to. Hey, Circle, if you're around.
Exactly, why not?
Come to us, you know. So then we'll be putting everyone will be on Circle for the community. We were, up until today, I think we were using ConvertKit, or planning to use ConvertKit to gather email addresses and start to kind of get chains of mail outs to people. But I think that's going to be a bit too limited for what we want right now. We're looking at building out a bigger kind of sort of CRM that's got a bit more of a marketing feel, so we can do more things. So we're looking at the moment about MailChimp being that kind of link for that side of it. We're getting some extra questions, so we're using a bit of Google Docs. And what we want to try to do is weave all of these things together as simply as possible without over-engineering. And I think this is where the balance is. We want to get it done quickly, but we want it to be relatively efficient first time round, so that we don't have to manually do a whole load of stuff in the future or try and switch things around too much.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I've missed on the kind of platforms, the SaaS stuff that we're using at the moment?
I think one of the big things is we were influenced to use ConvertKit because of someone that we follow, and she had documented her process, and again was, you know, building in public. But it was interesting because she didn't highlight as much as she could have potentially the other elements, other bits of software that she had plugged in to actually make this flywheel work. So I do think, I mean, we were talking yesterday, like I have that horrible habit of not going through an onboarding process. I'm like, oh, I'll just faff around, see if I can play it, and see if I can do the thing I need to do, which, you know, sometimes takes more time than if I just went through the onboarding process. But I think having that quick and dirty criteria of does it do X, Y, and Z, really understanding what you're looking to achieve, which as a non-technical person or someone who doesn't really understand SaaS products is potentially quite difficult. So I think doing a little bit of research, at least knowing what you really want it to do in advance, so you don't get too far down the integration path, and especially build out the ecosystem around it. So one of the things when you ConvertKit wouldn't do X, Y, and Z, actually be quite pricey to plug in the other things that she did. And she is a huge content creator and probably has, you know, affiliate relationships with these people anyway. But what we ended up doing was we had some really strict criteria in terms of the community. So made an ironclad choice on that, and then have worked backwards, because it's like, if that one has to do, as this is the only one that can do the things that we need it to, and we've looked over gym membership, we've looked at classroom management tools, we've looked at communities, we've looked at all these different things, because just because something is built for a specific sector in mind doesn't mean you can't reuse it for something else. Made that decision and then gone, right, okay, what is the journey, what is the path to that thing, what points do we need to have at any one point? Do they need to be a really elegant solution, or actually can they be relatively, you know, manual and be a bridge, and then work that out? And I think that has been incredibly helpful, because you don't want to restrict yourself too much. There's so many options out there, it just becomes impossible.
And it's about breaking down that big vision into, as you say, what is it that we need it to do? What are the non-negotiables? And from that point, and focusing on one part of the chain to start with, the most important part of that of the chain, if you like, which for us, of course, is our community. We want that to be a beautiful experience. We want it to be seamless. We want it to feel vibrant, energetic, interesting for people when they first arrive. So that's the thing. If we get that right and we build out that experience, then we can kind of get these other bits and bobs that tag in really nicely to that, and make the whole kind of, you know, stack, the tech stack, if you like, kind of work, integrate really, really nicely together. There'll be some things that we have to spin up and will go wrong at times, but I think the more time we spend with these tools, the more we realize what their full capabilities really are, and we also understand more about what it is that we're really looking for and what we really need. Because if you don't spend that time with them, you don't really realize what the art of the possible is, and therefore what you actually kind of really need. And so I think that's been a bit of an interesting journey as well, to go on. And there's so many alternatives to these things that we're talking about, right? There's, you know, even when we were talking about what we're going to build a website in, we were like Wix and Webflow and, you know, and Frame, or maybe we spin something up in WordPress, or like all these different ways of doing it. Or maybe we have the landing page tool from MailChimp or from ConvertKit, and it's like, well, so realizing what those limitations are on some of those things led us to what we think is, I mean, I absolutely fallen in love with Framer. I think it's an amazing, beautiful tool, but I do have the knowledge of Figma and designing websites previously, so it kind of makes intuitive sense to me to be able to design websites in that way. So
It made no sense to me. So I'm glad someone has a clue. But I think definitely in terms of the Circle platform. So, for example, we wanted to have it so that some sessions could be an unlimited amount of people. So some of the larger scale workshops we're doing, the productivity sessions, accountability, etc. But we also want to have closed groups, don't we? Small things where it might just be 10 people in a session where we're talking about burnout, for example, or how to have difficult conversations with your team, or something that's a bit more sensitive or actually is far more hands-on. We needed to be able to flex those, didn't we? We want to encourage people to be good human beings within the network and help each other grow. So there had to be some capability of understanding the membership's behavior and all those kind of things. And yeah, you need to plan out the art of the possible within your business and how you could potentially deliver to then work out the art of the possible with these tools. So it is a bit of a catch-22 situation. And as much as we have gone around the houses, I've enjoyed the journey. And I think
amazing. And in terms of, what are the biggest priorities for us at the moment are, as you talked about, validating desirability, as well as, of course, a little bit of feasibility and viability as well. But really, do people want this thing? Is there a whole pain, a challenge, a barrier that something like this can help them overcome? And all of the indications for that are super positive at the moment.
Yeah.
We're getting some really good questions and challenges for us to be thinking about, but incredibly overwhelmingly positive. That doesn't mean it's like a done deal. This is the thing that it's ongoing conversations, but also it's about presenting something with somebody with the solution and basically finding out, is this something you're going to pay for? Not just asking them, would you pay for this? It's about, here's the Stripe integration, here's the credit card area, this is what it's going to cost you a month. Are people actually going to do it? And that's when we really know, right? But what we are doing is we're going to open a pilot or a beta group, which is going to be, we're going to do this for free for people that we know. And you've been in this community, in this world for a long time and have a lot of people that you're reaching out to. Mm-hmm. And the idea behind that is really to learn what it is that people really want so that we can craft an experience to the things that are really challenging for people, and the kind of not putting on so many events that they can't do their work, they get on with their business, but enough so that people have that accountability partnership, have kind of access to great experts in finance or accounting or tech building or no code platforms or whatever it is. But also have and just kind of getting that balance right, because at the moment we've got so many assumptions about that. We don't really know what the right makeup of the program or the experience is going to be for people. So that's why we're opening it up for kind of a closed, friends and family really to come and join us on this and tell us all the good, tell us all the bad, tell us what stinks, tell us what definitely needs to change, so that when the 4th of November comes around,
TBC at the moment, we think it's the 4th of November.
Current plan, open up the first paid cohort, first kind of tranche of people coming in around the 4th of November, which is the Monday. That's why we're doing that. And so, there's a lot of outreach. There's a lot of conversations, but it's not just about experimenting and finding out what people want. It's about selling it already, right? We're kind of selling the vision to them already in order to get people in so that we can learn more. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm out having conversations, and it's every time I have a conversation, I'm a bit like, oh, do you think of this thing? And the people are like, oh, great, yeah, or we want it to be X, Y, and Z. So it's good, even though it's scary every time I have a conversation, because I've got the possibility of being shot down. I'm learning something. I mean, I even had multiple conversations with other people in the ecosystem, because I didn't want it to be like I was treading on toes, for example. I wanted to make sure that, I was open and honest about what I was doing, what my plans were, etc. Because that's one of the things that's in terms of my values, I like to be transparent. And even that was lovely to see, is in, people who are incredibly well respected within the ecosystem were saying there is a gap here. It's the ecosystem is amazing, but there's still space because people aren't quite filling that thing and we can't at the moment. So fingers crossed it'll be well received. If it's not, we'll just pivot the hell out of it until we find something, or we need to pay the mortgages. But yeah, I think it's exciting.
That old thing.
Bastards.
Yes, that's it. But honestly, amazing. Such a good journey to go through. It's super helpful. I think incredibly helpful for us to do this, and hopefully for other people to see what we're doing as well. And this is why we want to kind of open up and document our journey, building in public, as they say.
Exactly.
And hopefully we'll be doing lots of these to kind of give updates as we go and give people the kind of the insider knowledge about how to build this in. Oh, one thing actually, you said earlier something that I thought was really nice, because you said, I'm treating this like I am full-blown startup mode or something like that.
Yes.
Which I think was a really interesting thing, because every day I have changed from it being a project to it being potentially being a major part of my life. Excuse me.
Getting choked
and I
up.
think that's a really interesting journey. It's a really interesting reflection that I had, and it's really interesting to hear you're treating this as a startup. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I mean, my background is launching products. So from when I worked with Everton, anything from mortgages to kit launches, etc. And then I went on to go and work for Celtic and Wimbledon. So that marketing comms planning thing is in my blood. I then went into tech. So again, launching products, whether they be something that needs to be adopted in-house or actually is going out to market, like bread and butter. But then when I became self-employed, I was like, oh, I've got to promote myself. Oh no. And it's icky. Everyone hates it, and something we're going to be covering in the Growth Playground is that personal branding thing. Like, how do you get out there? How do you talk about it? But I had a really lovely mental shift. And it's a case of, this is not me. This is not about me. Like, hopefully my experience, knowledge, capability will add to the credibility of the thing. But it's never just us. Like, the whole concept of this is that you can access that wider network of amazing experts that unfortunately normally behind a paywall, because either they are employed by somebody who, and they have incredibly expensive consultancy fees, or they're self-employed and it's still restrictive. So because it was other to me, I was like, well, this is just a business. And I was like, okay, well, if I was launching something, what would I do? Well, I'd have something to do with PR. I'd have marketing plans. I'd have this channel, I'd have that channel, I'd be optimizing and just going, other to me. I'm not the product. Keys of the kingdom. I think I spent a lot of the time at the start of this year changing my mindset anyway, so I was prepared to be out there as me doing stuff. So I think that's helped the kind of like nervous system regulation piece, because at some point we are being the face of the thing. But actually just going, do you know what? All things aside, like, this is a business to launch. This is a product. What do I know about how that works well? Who does it well in the market? Who can I mimic? Where can I draw in favors from? I have an extended network of people who are specialists in this area. So I'm, grabbing brews with them. I'm asking for favors, all the things, play every card in the deck, to hopefully make sure that people hear about it, because you can't do these things alone. It's really, really hard. And that's, again, another like foundational point in terms of the Growth Playground, because we realize it's hard. You need people around you that you can leverage and access. So yeah, if I haven't hit you up, anybody I know, it's coming. I apologize in advance. I'm gonna pull in some old favors and do some pestering.
Love that. And I guess we should never have a video without a call to action, right?
Yes.
So if these kind of things are resonating with you, if you're on a journey of any point on your kind of startup, entrepreneurial, freelance kind of career, you should get in touch. You should check out growthplayground.com, sign up on the wait list. You can do that.
Thegrowthplayground.com.
Did I say that? I did say that, right?
I don't know. I'm just double checking.
Thegrowthplayground.com. You're absolutely right. Link in the description just in case. And just come and check it out. It'd be lovely to hear any thoughts that you've got as well. So do get in touch if you've got any thoughts about this, if you think it's a dreadful idea, if you've tried something before and it failed or whatever, just let us know. We're here to absorb as much learning as possible right now.
Yep.
But if you think it just sounds cool, sign up for the wait list and we'll keep you informed and updated about what things are happening as we go.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Let's call it there.
Okay, fantastic.
And we'll try and keep these pretty regular.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bex, thanks so much.
I'll speak to you later.
I'm going to see you at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Tomorrow. For more backlog fun.
Exactly. And to be honest, I'll probably see you on WhatsApp in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, highly likely.
Catch you later. Bye.